Okay, Red Lake, we've let you in. I can't see you and I can't hear you. You must be there somewhere.
Hi, Eleanor. You're appearing on the screen sideways. Yeah. And we can't hear you. We see your lips moving, and I think you hear us. Now you're on mute. You just clicked the mute button, Eleanor, on the Zoom app. So if you go back over the Zoom app and see the microphone icon, and it looks like you're speaking into one computer and the other computer you just looked at, now you looked away.
Hi, Sharon.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
And are you using your phone as the camera?
No.
Okay, because your camera is sideways somehow.
I know. I was good, and then I clicked a button, and that's what happened.
Oh,
So
I
I'll
see.
try to fix it.
You can't just move the camera. It's actually a setting. Okay.
So if I did it that way, I should be able to fix it. What did I do?
Hey, Mark.
You're right. You need our chest.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, people.
I did. Yes.
Hello, Dryden.
Been speaking.
Oh.
Being able we did. Right? That was what I was doing too. No. Necessary. I just have to turn off my phone and oh, I should get rid of my earpiece. I was on hold with the echo. Turn the volume up. No, I think he controls it. Oh, okay. I was on hold with echo. Oh, I'm just. Well, yesterday I left a message and they said they'd return your call, but she did it first thing this morning.
Of course, they're in our head, so we're not here.
Mm-hmm. Which gives you an extension so you don't have to go.
Oh, okay.
You know, so you know you have something that you're calling to it. So
No,
Log
thanks.
out and try logging in again.
All the water, though.
I think he needs us, right?
You're on mute.
Hi, Sharon. Hi, Jenny.
Okay, everybody, good morning. Now, Eleanor, I see you've just signed back in, and I don't see Winnipeg here yet. Marcia, is there any issue there that you're aware of?
No, nothing that anybody had mentioned to me.
Okay, well, they should be coming shortly. All right, well, welcome, everybody. It's good to see everybody again. Just a reminder, we're going to be on this morning for 90 minutes. And if I could ask everybody now that they're on, if you could just mute your phones or your computers until you're ready to talk, that would be great. And that's perfect. And then, so we were just together April 30th and May 1st, but the last time we had a webinar was actually March 22nd. So I'm just reminding people about muting and that sort of thing. Eleanor, I think you still need to mute. Now yeah, you. And I've got two phones here. I think one is Kenora. That would be the 468-7102. Is that your?
Yeah, I think that's us.
Okay, good. And then there's 807-223. Is that Dryden?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, well, we'll keep an eye out and see if Derek and his team get on here shortly. But we'll get going right away with our webinar for today. Welcome, Brian.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Is there anybody from your groups that isn't there? I noticed, Eleanor, you're by yourself. Hannah, is she joining or?
Yes, she is.
Okay, is she in the office with you or?
She has a customer right now, and she'll come in as soon as she's done.
Thank you. That's awesome. And we've got Lisa and Mark from Thunder Bay, so that's all present and accounted for. Anybody in Kenora that's not available today?
No, Jordan's not here with us today, and Gord will be joining us shortly.
Okay, and Gary, I can't see if you're there, but are you there?
I'm not here.
At the end, I see you there. It's a small picture. Sorry. Welcome. You weren't with us last time. It's good to see you again. All right. Well, Brian, let's move on, and I'll add Winnipeg when they show up.
All right. Is somebody sending a note to Winnipeg, Marcia? Can we fire him a note? Thank you. All right. Okay, everyone. Hello again, collectively. Just wave your hands. Okay, awesome. Here we go. Here we go. All right. I'm going to dive right in. You want to be able to see your screen. And let me go to slideshow here. Okay. John, do you see today's conversation?
I do. Yep, that works great.
All right. Well, let's present that for everyone, please.
Okay, today's conversation. Context. To make a lasting and powerful impact on the standards culture, consistently operate as a high-performance team, and transform into a sales culture with a customer-centric approach to business. And the intention of today's webinar, to revisit and deepen the distinctions and tools we first introduced you to at our November 7th to 9th, 2018 work session, to expand your capacity to operate as a high-performance team.
All right, everyone. So you may or may not recall that context is decisive. So we're starting off this call and we're coaching you as leaders. You always want to set the context before you jump into any meeting. So in the context of body parts, this is these are two fingers. If the context is numbers, this is the number 2. So we're saying that there's a context for this webinar. The context for this webinar that we're having, this is webinar number 3, ultimately is to make a lasting and powerful impact on standard culture. That's why we're having these calls. And then we have an intention for today's webinar. We're going to revisit and we're going to deepen the distinctions and the tools that we first introduced to you all the way back in November. And we're also out to expand your capacity to operate as a high performance team. All right, so why are we doing all this? We reminded you that we're on a journey. This isn't a sprint. You're taking on new practices. You're taking on a new way of being as a culture, and it takes time. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So how do you actually have that context? How do we make a lasting and powerful impact on the standards culture? Well, it takes practice. So it's practice, practice, practice. And practice is to do something again and again in order to be better at it. Okay. John, can you mute the other phones? There's a little bit of background noise, and then people can unmute. I think that it's the two phone lines, John.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. So we gave you practices from our May 1st session. And John, I'm going to have you generate the practices from May 1 to set that up for everyone, please.
Yeah, practices from our May 1st session. Identify one distinction from all of the work we've been doing throughout our time together and take new actions that will be a demonstration of you discovering something new about yourself at work and in life. For example, you can practice authentically listening to a specific person between now and our next session, or you may practice being responsible, being cause in the matter, operating from the top rungs of the ladder in a specific area that you're accountable for at work. Come back prepared to share what you're discovering from having taken on these practices.
All right, so this is what we asked you to take on as a practice when we were together May 1. I saw that Marcia sent out a reminder yesterday. In a few moments, I'm going to review the key distinctions from all the way back to November. I'm going to presence them again. And as I do, just listen. How, if at all, have you been practicing these different distinctions? And then after I do this review, and it'll take however long it takes, maybe it might take 10 minutes or so. Then after that, then we're going to open it up and we're going to hear from as many people as possible. And there might be things that John or I will coach you on during this call. There might be things where you've made a big mess. You know, you might have some, what we call a breakdown. There could be some things that you have some breakthroughs, some victories or triumphs. So we want to hear from you. And that's how we're going to be going on this call. All right. So with that said, we're going to review what we've covered to date. We started all the way back in November with, we said this is discovery learning. We had you look around the room to discover something in the room that you hadn't discovered before. You know, as I'm looking at my screen, I see Lisa, formerly known as Linda, you know, and I can see something in the room. There's a clock behind her. You know, I can see Mark on the screen wearing what I think is a pink shirt. You know, I can see that it looks like there's a painting on the wall behind him. So we're having you, we said that our work is about discovery learning. It's not about understanding. It's not about getting the answer. It's about looking. You've got to be willing to look to discover something new. Then when we were together, we also coached you. We gave you an opportunity to practice discovery learning on the court. We had you interview somebody beside you. We had two of you get up in front of the room. We had you introduce your colleague to the whole room with a commitment to discovering something about them. And most of you, if not all of you, when we asked, discovered something new, your hands went up. Wow, I had no idea. You know, I had no idea about that person. I had no idea that Jordan was in a rock band, you know, like that. So we said you can always take on discovering people newly, and it's a skill. It's something to be practiced. Then we coach you on being present, the distinction being present. We said for the most part, people are not present. They're not being here in the moment. They're thinking about what's for dinner, or my gosh, did I close the garage door, or what do they think of me? And we said that there's an already always listening. It's pervasive, that little voice in your head. It's already always listening. What is it already always listening for? It's already always listening for this is right or this is wrong, or I agree with this or I disagree with that, or that's true or that's false. It should be this way or it shouldn't be that way. Or you're listening for what's the problem, what's the answer, what's the solution. What's in it for him? What's in it for me? What's in it for them? And we said there's nothing wrong with that already always listening. We said for the most part, people aren't present. They aren't even aware that that already always listening is always going on, and it robs you from being present with a customer. It robs you from being present with your loved one. It robs you from being present with your colleagues. So we coach you on being practicing being present. Then we coached you on context. We said context is decisive. And we gave you those 14 sentences. And the 14 sentences made no sense until we put that 4-letter word at the top. That 4-letter word was kite. Oh, once you got kite, then you got those 14 sentences made sense. We said your job as a leader is to always set the context so people know how to engage, people know how to listen. And we coached you on, are you on the court or are you in the stands? We said that where life happens, where action happens, is on the court. We said that most people spend 99% of our time in the stands. In the stands, you're observing. In the stands, you're explaining something. I didn't get that report. Let me tell you why. I was busy or da-da-da-da-da. It's justifications, it's opinions, it's stories in the stands. When you're on the court, like an athlete, on the court or on the field or on the ice as an athlete, you're not speaking about things, you're making things happen. Pass me the ball, give it to me now. And it takes an on the court speaking to actually have action happen. On the court speaking is, I will. In the stand speaking is, I'll try. On the court speaking is, I promise. In the stand speaking is, we'll do our best. On the court is a request. I request you do this by this time. On the court speaking is your vision statement. On the court speaking is a declaration. On the court speaking is talking about what's possible as a place you're standing. Nothing wrong within the stands. Nothing wrong within the stands. When it comes time to take action, it requires being on the court. And then we coached you on the 4 foundational factors of leadership. We said as a leader, and we said leadership is a place to stand. You're fulfilling a future that was not going to happen anyway, and it fulfills on the concerns of all the relevant parties. And there takes a foundation, like a foundation of building a house. And the 4 foundational factors of leadership, one of them is being accountable and being responsible. And we said being accountable, you're the person that's singularly responsible for making something happen. And when you're being accountable to somebody specifically. And you have what we called a committed listener and committed speaking relationship. And you can relate to one another, not as personality to personality, but accountability to accountability. So you're committed speaking, I will do this, and I will do it by this date. And your person, you're making it clear who you're speaking to, and they're your committed listener, and they're not off the hook. They're holding you account. If you say you're going to get something done by Friday, today's Thursday, and they can't hear it, and if they don't call you on it and say, hey, I can't hear that you're going to get this done with the other things you have to do, then their integrity could be out as well. So we're coaching you and having a committed speaking and listening relationship with one another inside of being accountable. And then we said, well, what is it to be responsible? Being responsible is something you give yourself. No one else can make you responsible. We said being responsible begins with a willingness to be cause in the matter. Cause in the matter of what? Well, we said most people go through life, they can't do something because. And we said being responsible, you're taking a stand. You're willing to be responsible over here with everything that goes on around you. It's unreasonable, I know, but it's the most powerful place one can stand. Most people go through life, when something's off, they point their finger, they, and you've heard that old saying, if you point your finger at somebody else, you've got 3 fingers coming back at you. So being responsible, you're looking over here with you first. And we gave you the ladder of responsibility. We said most people, and accountability. We said most people are at the bottom rungs, blaming others. I can't, making excuses, waiting and hoping. And we said the middle rung, you want to get up to at least acknowledge reality, own it, find solutions, and ultimately make it happen. When you're up there, then you're being responsible, you're being accountable. All right, I know I'm going through this rather quickly. Hang in there with me. Thank you for your authentic listening. And a few more slides, and then we're going to open it up for everyone. And I'm doing this in terms of refreshing, jogging your memory, how this has been showing up in your life. Okay, we coached you on authenticity and authentic listening. What is it to be authentic? Is being true to who you hold yourself out to be for others and who you hold yourself out to be for yourself. You hold yourself out to be a certain way. Honest, caring, whatever. And when you act inconsistent with that, you are inauthentic. And we said that as a leader, leaders, what's required to be a leader in our new model of leadership is being authentic. And your access to being authentic is when you can tell one on yourself. What do I mean? When you can be authentic about your inauthenticities, that's your access to being authentic. When a company can call up a client and say, we blew it. We had a promise to do X, Y, and Z, and we're coming to you. We're being authentic about it. We're letting you know that we didn't do it when this happened, as an example. And then we coached you on authentic listening. What's authentic listening? Authentic listening is when you're listening without any filter. Authentic listening when you're listening to discover something new. Authentic listening when you're out here versus over here giving all this credence to your little voice. Okay. All right, William Red Lake, I see that you got yourself from vertical to horizontal. Welcome. Good. Hi, Hannah. All right. Here we go. And then we coached you on being committed to something bigger than oneself. For the most, we gave you an access to the world of me, the world of identity, how you and I wound up being. The world of me is one possible world, nothing wrong with that. That world is concerned with how do I survive. That world of me is all about what's right or what's wrong or what's good or what's bad, what's true, what's false. We coached you that as a leader, there's another world, a world of we. This world is a world of looking for what's possible. This world of we is looking for what's missing. The world of me is what's wrong. The world of we is what's missing. The world of we, you're looking for, and inside of being committed to something bigger than oneself, this world over here, you're looking for, hey, what's possible for us at Standard? What is missing against what we've given our word to? What are we standing for? What's our vision? Like that. And then another one of the 4 foundational factors is integrity. And we said most people take morality is good or bad or right or wrong, and they collapse it with integrity. And so we spent time on collapsing morality from integrity. We said integrity is honoring one's word as oneself. I say X and I honor that. I say I'll have that to you by next Friday, and I'm honoring that. What's that mean? Well, I may not always keep my word. I may not always keep my promises, but as soon as I realize I won't, I'm cleaning up the mess with all the people that have been impacted. With the integrity conversation, we introduced the metaphor of the bicycle wheel. We said, like a bicycle wheel, if a spoke is loose, it's out of integrity. It's not bad or wrong, but a loose spoke on a bicycle wheel or a broken spoke on a bicycle wheel impacts the workability of the wheel. It'll still turn with one loose or one broken spoke, but it won't turn and it'll have a little bit of a wobble. And we said with that metaphor, consider the bicycle spoke represents your health, or the bicycle spoke could represent your family, or the bicycle spoke could represent your relationship to finances. And we said, you have the opportunity to be on the vigilant about where your spokes are out or where they're loose. All right. Okay, how are we doing? Just nod your head or thumbs up. How are we doing? Doing okay? Okay, all right. Thanks for hanging in there. A couple more and then we're gonna open it up. Okay, and then we introduced you to the 3 laws of performance. We said that they're like the law of gravity, what goes up must come down. We said that there are 3 laws of performance. We said, first of all, don't mistake performance is really simple. Performance is action or non-action. So if you're unhappy with someone you work with, if you're unhappy with their performance, don't talk about how you feel about them. That's internal to you. That's in the stands. You want to talk about and give them access to the actions they took or the actions they didn't take. And we said that the 3 laws of performance, the first law, and John, I'm going to have you read these, please.
Yeah, the 3 laws of performance. The first law is how people perform correlates to how situations occur to them. The second law is how situations occur arises in language. Third law, future-based language transforms how situations occur to people.
All right, so we said first law, how people perform. The actions people take or the actions people don't take correlates, is in a dance with how a situation occurs to them. If it occurs like this call is something where you're going to get in trouble, then you're going to take the actions or non-actions consistent with staying out of trouble. It'll impact whether you speak up or not. It'll impact where you sit when you came into the room or not. If this call occurs as, hey, this is an opportunity for me to expand my development, you know, your actions or non-actions, you might be sitting on the edge of your seat. You might be, I got to share, like that. Second law is how situations occur arises in language. So as a leader, you're listening to the words people speak. When you hear somebody say, yeah, I'll try to get that policy to you, you know that how it occurs is they're going to try, distinct from I will get that to you. And the third law is future-based language transforms how situations occur to people. We use that old example of John F. Kennedy at Rice University in 1961, before NASA, before there were rocket ships like we have now. He said, we're going to send a man to the moon and return him safely to Earth by the end of the decade. He used future-based language. He said what we're going to do. He actually did it as a stand. Looking at this graphically, there's results you have. So you have results. Hey, our sales, our revenue is here. Or the results are that we've lost 2 of our longstanding clients. Well, what impacts results? Performance. Well, what's performance? Actions or non-actions. That's it. Not how you feel, not your attitude, not your thoughts. It's performance. It's action or non-action that produces results. Well, what shapes performance? Well, what you're concerned for shapes performance. What do you mean, Brian, what you're concerned for? We don't mean concern like worry. We mean, excuse me, concern like what's really important to you. If what's really important to you is being the best insurance, providing the best insurance, being passionate people, being there for every client, if that's what you're authentically concerned for, then there's going to be situations, what's the occurring, like the front of the hand and back of the hand, what you're concerned for and the occurring show up together. So if it occurs, hey, I'm concerned for actually being passionate and looking after every client, then when a client calls and they have a complaint, the occurring could be, this is my opportunity to actually be passionate with this customer. This is my opportunity to actually resolve whatever they're upset by. So we said what you're concerned for in the occurring world shapes people's performance, their actions or non-actions, and that's what gives you the results you have, ultimately what you end up with. All right, and then back to May. We coached you on upsets in the brain. We had a conversation about neuroscience. We passed the brain, the rubber brain around the room so you can actually touch it and feel it. We said that there are things that happen. You've got billions of neurons. And we said that your brain ultimately is like a computer. It remembers everything that's happening in your past, even if you can't remember it consciously. And what your brain does is it uses the past to predict the future. And we said that every time that you're upset, every time that you're not whole and complete, and we said upset doesn't mean you're yelling. Upset is when you're not whole, when you're not complete. And every time you're upset, it's some unwitting reminder from the past. You're not present in the moment. And we coached you on that from a neuroscience standpoint. So you can see that your brain is just instantly firing all the time. How do you know? Well, you walked into the office, you expected to have a desk there. You expected that there's going to be a chair there. If you'd walked in this morning and there was no furniture there, your brain, you'd be upset. It's like, what is going on? Because your brain has a memory of what your office looks like. You have a memory of what John and I look like. If you came on the call and we didn't look this way, or I had yellow hair or something, and we'd be, what? You know, because it would be automatic. Your brain uses its memories to predict the future. And we said, nothing wrong with that. Just be aware of that. So the next time you have a knee-jerk reaction, next time you're upset, you can actually use it as a trigger to bring yourself back and to be present. And then you did some great work. You did amazing work. We gave you a few moments. We broke you into different teams. We gave you an opportunity to create your vision. And you did that work, you know, and Marcia and Mark got up and on the boards and they whittled it all down, and Sean was there and Dennis was there. I mean, all of you were involved in this, and you came up with passionate people, champions for every client. And we know that you were asked not to share that publicly until you get the ink dry on it. And we'd love to hear from some people too. How, if at all, have you been used by that? How, if at all, have you noticed that, even though you may not have shared it publicly? Okay. That's our review. I know it's a lot. I'm going to open it up and hear from you. So we'd like to hear. We ask you to come back prepared to share what you're discovering out of having taken all this on. Who will go first?
We can see you. We can see you hiding in plain sight.
Well, in Zulkout, Sharon and I always talk about getting out in the community a little bit more. We've talked about it for years, but we never really did anything about it. But we were talking about it on the way home. So when we got back, we noticed there was a pitch in for the community. So we got together as a group and we joined.
Wow. Awesome. Great. And which one of these distinctions or what can you hear that you've been practicing that had you?
The committed speaking.
Committed speaking. Awesome. Great. And how's it gone since you joined?
Well, we just did it the once so far. So we're trying to find more things in the community to get out and get our faces out there a little bit more.
Awesome. Great, Jennifer. And no accident, you're speaking up first too. Way to go. Thank you. Sharon, you want to go since you're right side by each there?
Yeah. The authentic listening. I had one broker that I work with, and so it was always a challenge for me. But I take the time now to literally turn away from my computer and give him my undivided attention. And if I'm busy, I do now say, give me a minute, and then let me finish this up, and then I can give you, turn towards them and work at it. So I've been doing that like all along, and I notice now it's becoming more of a habit. To purposely make myself do that. So yeah, awesome. So that's what it is.
Has he said anything about it?
No, I don't think so. I don't even know if I can really tell by his body language if he notices that I'm doing that now.
Okay.
I'm more aware of it, but no, he hasn't said anything like come right out.
Well done. Great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, I can go.
Awesome. Thanks, Eleanor.
Okay, we had a concern about one of our staff and the workload that she had. And I know she was feeling a bit overwhelmed and maybe felt like she was getting in a little deep. So we had a meeting and we did some committed speaking and decided we were going to make a plan to all pitch in as a team and help her. So this morning we sat together, made a plan, and started our action to get her caught right up so that she feels better. And then the result is going to be that she's not going to feel over, like when you're in too deep, sometimes you don't see a way out. So I think helping her as a team, knowing she's not in this, we're all in this together and we're there to help her. I think the result will be better for the whole office.
Wow. Great work.
Thank you.
Great work. Yeah, thank you. John, I'm seeing a chat. You need to unmute the telephones, please.
Already done.
Okay. It still shows muted on my screen.
Well, I'm just unmuting them because they wanted to speak. Everybody else seems to be able to come on and off. I don't know why that one didn't.
John, it's my screen showing the 3 telephones themselves are muted. They're chatting that they're trying to share and they can't because they're muted.
Oh, we're unmuted now, it shows.
Okay.
Can you hear us now, Kenora?
Now.
Yep.
Sean's
Oh,
chomping at the bit here.
Thanks, Eleanor.
Sean's gonna try time.
You guys keep muting us, so stressing me out. I have one. Lori Burton and myself went to a condo corp to do a little presentation to a bunch of the members there, and so we were packed in a small room with about 20 people. Yeah, and right dead center of us was a gentleman who pretty much spoke for half of the presentation, and so it really took a lot of authentic listening and already always listening. And while we were sitting there, I know myself personally, I was really catching myself, like I was ready to start rolling my eyes almost, and I could feel my body language changing. And it was a pretty tight room where he was basically sitting right in front of us. So I caught myself and sort of stopped the voices from thinking, oh, you're going to be the guy in the room. And
it's hard to stop those voices.
Yeah, so Lori and I, when we came out of the meeting, we were like, oh, wow, that was tough, because he was, even his other people that living there were sitting behind him were starting to roll their eyes and sort of almost looking at us like, sorry.
Yeah, apologizing with their eyes.
But I really caught myself on a few occasions to stop, look him in the eye, listen to what he had to say, figure out what he wasn't getting with our responses to him, and working our way through it. So it was very good. And the other point of that was Lori didn't want to come originally, doesn't like speaking in front of people, but she was excellent there, very confident, spoke up, and she did a great job. So that was good.
Yeah, I felt like I was on the court for sure. When they first approached me, kind of out of surprise, my first reaction was, oh, I don't know. Like, I have a lot going on. And then I thought, well, what are you talking about? You go with Sean and do it. And I did it. And actually, when I came out of there, I felt really, really good about it.
Oh, great work, guys.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Lauren.
I can go, Kelly from Dryden.
Yeah, Kelly, please.
So I think the one thing that I still need to work on, like to deepen as per assignment and take new actions, would be when we talk about the rungs on the ladder and where you are and being on the court. I think it's hard when you are somewhat of the middle person. You have companies that you have to go to for answers, but you have brokers that are coming to you for answers. And they're coming to you because they need answers for their clients. And if you don't get the answer, it really puts a roadblock on everybody. So I want to focus more on being more forward with deadlines and asking, if it's an email or a phone call to make sure I'm remembering to ask for a date to get back to me.
Great. And what's opened up for you as you've been practicing that since May 1st?
In all honesty, I have not been doing it, and that's what I mean. I need to deepen it and put my actions forward for it. As much as I tell myself I'm going to do it, I will click send on an email and tell myself, oh, damn, I didn't put a date or a deadline. And so it's a matter of training myself to do that, and that's something that I want to deepen and work on.
Awesome, Kelly. Kelly, I love what you're looking at. And the first part of taking on, remember, this is a new model of leadership we're introducing you to. So the current model, or how you have been operating, will always be there. Now, what I love about that is I can hear you're aware of it. I just sent that email and well, geez, I didn't put it by when. And you're sharing it here publicly. So the more you do that, it's like going to the gym. Now you're building a muscle, and you're going to find, my prediction is you'll find that you'll notice it quicker and quicker before you hit send. And by our next call, I look forward to hearing what you're discovering by having practiced this.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Kelly. How about somebody else from Dryden, just while you're off mute there? Just go around.
I can go.
Yeah.
Brian, Debbie. I've been practicing the authentic listening at work and at home. And excuse me. And I find that it's really deepened my relationship with the people around me. And one example with my husband was actually just, telling me what was going on with his day. And I'm standing there looking at him, and it was almost like a aha moment of going, I see him as a individual person right now compared to how I would see him as, I guess I'm married to him for, my husband or whatever we're doing. It was almost like a realization of, wow, I haven't seen him as an individual person in a long time.
Wow. Wow. Warms my heart hearing that. Thanks, Deb. Beautiful.
And I guess for me, it's been the authentic listening too. I even caught myself last night with my husband that I wasn't listening to him, and I had to stop and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't listen to the first 30 seconds of what you were saying. Can you say it again? Because I wasn't giving you my full attention. And I'm just catching myself a lot easier that I'm, when I'm doing that, and to stop and pay attention again and own up that I wasn't listening. And
wow. That's great. That's great. I can hear you looking at the entire, using that metaphor, the bicycle wheel. You're taking what you're getting and you're applying it to other aspects of your life, not only to work, which makes you a more powerful, complete, whole human being. Beautiful. Thank you. Hello, Winnipeg. John, I see the 204 numbers on mute, John. It might be Winnipeg there.
Cut you off.
There you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Yeah, just was going to say, I agree with the earlier comments on body language. With body language being a part of authentic listening, I don't remember the numbers, but something like 60% of communication is physical, not actually verbal. And so if you're doing authentic listening, you need to stop what you're doing, turn your chair, look at the person, make eye contact. There is a way to listen and engage, like what Sean was saying.
Great.
So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Let's just go around in Winnipeg just while you're off mute, please.
Hey, it's Nicole. So I was specifically with one individual. I found that I always had that always listening on. So I've been really concentrating on that. And I've realized, it cuts out a bunch of the frustration or those preconceived notions. I just find like the relationship is improving and I'm getting more out of it. And I'm sure that they are too, whether they recognize it or not. But I think, it's definitely improved the relationship, and it's getting easier to practice now kind of with other people too, because I just kind of focused on it with that one relationship.
Awesome, Nicole. Thank you.
Pina here.
Hey, Pina.
I've noticed even within our, sorry.
I said, hey. That's all. Sorry.
Oh, hey, Brian. I just wanted to point out, even within the 4 people at this table, that I've really noticed the difference with listening to each other. Like we've even caught each other saying, oh, I'm sorry I interrupted you, which, you know, was something that I guess we didn't practice before, but now it is just, I can see it on a day-to-day basis. So I'm really proud of ourselves. I think we've really taken a big step.
Beautiful.
Great.
Powerful, proud Pina and team. Awesome. Great.
Hey, Cleo's here.
Hey, Cleo.
I've been doing I think I've been practicing it wherever I am, work, home. When I'm out somewhere, I just, instead of getting excited and start opening my mouth and talk about something, I stop myself and say, I've got to finish listening to this person before I cut them off, because that's what I sometimes do. And I even find, even on the phone, like I'm really in tune on listening to people. So it's all the time. Like,
I love hearing that. Yeah, especially on the phone. Yeah, I forget who said it earlier. Earlier in our time together, someone was talking about, how do you do this on the phone? It's harder. It's great you're practicing it on the phone, because you can do it. You can authentically listen anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, and sometimes they say to me, are you still there?
Yeah.
I said, oh yeah, I'm just listening to you. And yeah, because, you know, you're listening to them. They're not, I guess they're, yeah. So I find it has made quite a bit of a difference. So
beautiful. Thank you. What's happening in Thunder Bay?
Not much. I'm pretty busy. Actually, one of the last things that we're looking to hire somebody on the commercial lines, and we recently had a slew of 10 applicants, and out of those applicants we've done 1 interview, and it was great. Gordon and I were talking, and we went back to our vision statement about this applicant, and we're on the fence because I was on the fence because I felt that the needs versus the actual plan were also important, meaning we need a butt in the seat, and maybe this isn't the right person, but this person's very qualified and will do a good job. And then after we went through we do caliper testings, and then after that, same sort of response. And Gord just simply said, you know what, like, think back to our vision statement, and is this person passionate? Are they going to be the champions for every client? And the answer was simple, and the answer was no. And that's the absolute right call all the time, because we're working really hard and we're trying really hard, but there's no point in putting someone in place that's not, you know, passionate about what we do, and passionate for our clients and our customers, and champions for everything that they want. It's not our vision. So the reality is that we're passing and we're reposting, but that's the inner struggle of the need is now, and the need is important, but the need doesn't supersede our vision.
That's so awesome. And that, the way you shared that and created that, Mark, I can hear you and Gord are used by the vision. You know, you brought up the vision and said, is this person a match to that? And you said, you did some soul searching, I can hear, and you said, no. That's brilliant. Thank you.
Yep.
Lisa?
I think mine is still going back to the authentic listening, and exactly what Pina said. Like, sometimes a client phones you and my decision's already made in my head within 30 seconds of listening to them. but let them finish their sentence, get out what they actually mean. And sometimes if you're not authentically listening to somebody, you totally mishear things because you've already got something in your head. So I've really caught myself. And I have had people say, oh, are you there? And I'll say, yeah, no, I'm just listening, and just want to make sure I understand what you're saying before I answer.
Awesome. Great, Lisa. Thank you. Now I can see the corner of a chair wiggling, but I can't see is there another person in the room, or is that your feet, Mark?
That's my feet.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought there was another chair there. I was going, who else is in Thunder Bay? All right, thank you. All right, well, who else? Kenora, Hannah.
Nancy here. I have to agree with Mark in getting the right person for the seat. We just went through and hired a CST that Brianna and I both thought would be a really good fit because, you know, she was young and a mold of clay, and we could train her into what we needed her to be. Unfortunately, we made the wrong mistake. We made the mistake by hiring her, but she made the decision herself and decided to leave before we had to ask her. So we went to our second choice, who I thought it wasn't going to be enough for her, that she was going to get bored easily. She is amazing. She's good for the seat. She's good for us. But if Janice asks, she's lousy. So she'll steal her, and I'll be back at square one. But yeah, we definitely need a passionate person.
I just think when you're talking and that statement you made, and then Mark's earlier one where, you know, you hire someone, you say, oh, what if they leave that Charles, or not Branson, what's Richard Branson, and what happens if we train them and they leave? What happens if we don't and they stay?
Yeah, exactly.
But I just thought of that quickly, but you know, and again, you hired because you thought they would, you hired one versus the other, and clearly you can see a clear difference in passion, just alone. Yeah, just the energy, the passion, so very interesting.
Exactly. Two total different personalities, outlooks.
Yeah.
And there's only a few years difference in age.
Well,
and age doesn't matter.
That's
why they still keep me.
But I've referenced that with Brianna already a few times in our group, is that I think if we look through the lens of hiring on that and just keeping, keeping to that vision, I think we'll have less turnover because of the fact that we'll demand better.
Yeah.
And then that'll show and it'll just become part of our world, right? So, yeah.
Thanks, Gord. Well said, Nancy. And Nancy, any new additions to your family? You were talking about a couple of puppies last time I saw you.
Unfortunately, she only had one pup instead of 5. There was issues with her coming from Europe. The puppy came in under a pound. She's now 15 days old. The size of my hand, she would be half the size of my hand. So we won't be getting one from this litter.
Okay.
Maybe the next one.
All right. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. Who else that we haven't heard from? Hannah, Kenora.
Okay, I'll go. Janice. One of the things that I wanted to practice that was causing me anxiety was one of my fishing abilities wasn't so swell with netting fish, and I said that I was thinking that I was going to do it. And I'm proud to say that during my tournament, every time that net went into the water, it came up with a bass.
Wow.
I'd only have one.
Which was one.
So, yeah,
One for one.
One for one. So, yeah. I'll try better next time, but of course, half that scenario is the person's got to get the dash on the end of the line, so that wasn't my fault.
Awesome.
There you go.
Thanks, Janice.
Use an example of last Friday, the Friday of the long weekend, and I know I was overdue to go to Winnipeg, and I had some spend some time with long overdue to spend some time with Cleo and Nicole to get Cleo on kind of the strategy and the plan, and start the conversation about some of the change management and sales and the structure, and Nicole to get back on track with kind of mapping out and committing to Epic and the underwriting and setting a strategy for that, as well as deal with a couple of team members. Again, one which was clear and present to deal with, and one that just wanted to touch base with, felt that there was a need to kind of motivate and spend some time with them. And so I had, almost talked myself out of it, again, it's Friday the long weekend, it's going to be chaos coming back. And it's like, no, I gotta, that's my responsibility. I said I was going to come, I got to just come. And it was really rewarding. Not only, I had 2 people reach out to me from that day, by text on the weekend to say that they appreciated the time, and it was just meaningful time and overdue. And again, I was responsible, and in my position, you just realize that sometimes you can put stuff off or you overschedule, which I did this week as well, but again, was conscious of it and apologized and said, can we still get the meeting to go? Nicole ran it, but just a couple of things from that, because technically I guess I could reschedule whatever meetings in my role, but it's not fair to people, and it's not responsible, and it doesn't have integrity. And so, so just that learning. So just being conscious of it, and being responsible, I guess, are the 2 main things, which was different from what I originally had written down, but I was just thinking about what was relevant. And I guess I just wanted to say also, I just think the cause and the matter and on the court is really what our departments, and I'm seeing in our teams, I'm seeing a lot of that action, and it's getting us to be responsible for one another, and we're getting things done. Like even our deliverables, there's one deliverable we can't get to, but we've committed to, and we've already scheduled and said this is the date we're going to get to it. And that's in light of all the busy and chaotic times, and you always can make excuses and not get it done, but I have seen a difference in that. So
that's great, Gord. And Gord, it is it's priceless. You and your role sharing as vulnerably and as authentically as you are, because it makes it, if I'm working with you, it's like, wow, if you can say that, if you're contending with that, yourself, whether you go to Winnipeg or not, and and the other stuff, then it makes it easier for me to look over here as somebody who works with you. So thanks, Gord. Great work.
Welcome.
Who else? In Kenora, or who else?
I can share. It's Brianna here in Kenora.
Hey, Brianna.
So I've been taking some of the things we've been learning in our sessions, and I've been sharing them at home. And just last week, I was talking to Chris, my partner, and I wasn't using committed speaking, and he called me out on it. So it's kind of nice that I'm being held accountable here in the office and at home.
Wow, great.
He's a good guy.
That's great. Who else in Kenora we haven't heard from yet?
I have to tell a joke that the comic said, a comic was saying, it reminded me of that, said, your wife always gives you a honey-do list. What would you think would happen if you turned around and gave her a list? Everyone started laughing because, ooh, that'd be dangerous.
Well, we set these webinars up for you, so I don't mean to make anybody feel that they have to speak. And this is your opportunity to share, including if you have a breakdown or anything you want to ask us, or any request for coaching, or anything you might have for one another. So, anyone else?
Yeah, I can share. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, please.
Oh, they can hear me.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
In our last meeting, I had written down that I wanted to practice being on the court more. So in the last couple of weeks, I've had a large amount of work come in from one of the companies, and every day we're getting these emails. So on Wednesday, I told myself, okay, I'm doing these today, and I printed every single one, and I called every single person or emailed them on that list, and set up meetings for the coming weeks. So I don't know if that was committed speaking or accountability. I'm not sure where that would fall, but I feel better about it. They're all done anyway. So that's what I've been working on, but I don't know what that would fall into. Me and Eleanor were talking about it and weren't sure what section that would fall in, but
On the one hand, I don't care about what section, because I can hear you've got more power and more freedom than you did before. And that's what it's all about. I can hear you being accountable. I can hear integrity there. I can hear you being on the court. I can hear all of it. Awesome. Thank you.
In your vision statement, where you say champions for every client, as Gord said, being cause in the matter is really critical. Well, being cause in the matter is what that's all about. Champions for every client means you're responsible, you're cause in the matter, making it happen. And so coming from that vision and cause in the matter and making things happen, I'm just interested, we heard Mark talking about how he and Gord used it, and then Kenora, you were talking about the hire and looking for passionate people. And I'm interested in that second part where champions for every client and being cause in the matter for clients. Does anybody have any place where that you're being used by that vision in your interactions with your clients since you came up with that?
I think I do. John?
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Debbie and John.
Yeah, Deb.
We had one client in the last 2 weeks that he's a very difficult client, not a preferred client, and he was very upset with one of the producers. And so he came in and saw the other producer, and that other producer called me and said, this is what's going on. So what we did was the three of us got together, the producer who the client was upset with, the other producer that they talked to, and myself. And the three of us sat and we talked about what to do about it, how we're going to deal with it, who is dealing with it. So I made the phone call, dealt with him, listened to his side of the story, sympathized with him, managed to, same thing, settle him down, get him moved to the other producer, all within an agreement within our department. And it left all three of us feeling very strong, in control, and worked as a full team.
That's fantastic. There's so much gold in that, but what's really great is that, champions for every client. I mean, you started off, he's not a preferred client. Doesn't matter. That's your whole deal. And that's just a perfect example of being a champion for every client. That's fantastic. Way to go. Thanks, Debbie. Appreciate that.
John, it's Eleanor here.
Yeah.
For us, it's a couple things. We have a lot of non-payments, and then we also had a lot of claims from the hail damage, which at this point now they're just a big pain in the butt. But even though they are a pain and you don't always want to deal with them, we still are trying to fix the claims that have gone on a little too long. And we still are handling the non-payers, even though necessarily they aren't the best clients, but they still pay us money. So I think that we are giving the service that our clients deserve. And so in that sense, I think champions for every client, I think we are sort of living that statement.
Yeah, I can see that when you've got those long tails on those claims that just go drag on, right?
They go on forever.
That's right. But you know, that's great. You're just you're used by champions for every client. And you know, you can't, when that happens, you can't ignore those people. That's just really, really good. Thanks, Eleanor.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Janice from Kenora, on the same frame of mind. One of my newer brokers came into the office yesterday, towards the end of the day, and she goes, "So I think I talked to one of our crazies," which made me start to laugh. And she's like, "So this client came in. I read all your notes, Janice, and this woman who is accusing us of sending her payments to her daughter, and she calls us every couple of months and rants and raves from the States, but she said that she's coming here to Kenora. She wants to come in." And I thought, oh, fabulous, this is going to be another fun one. But on the flip side, I was like, you know, she's not listening to the phone calls, she's not replying to the emails. If she comes in face to face, then we can put this one to bed finally, in terms of this is how it went down with your file. You know, if your daughter cashed your claims check that was made payable to you fraudulently, that is not on us. But I was, you know, like, here's one of the crazies that we have to deal with. But I'm, on the flip side, happy to hopefully she actually will come in and we can actually put this one to bed, because again, at the end of the day, our staff did nothing wrong. She believes we have. So I'm quite excited to have her actually come in and discuss it and resolve it once and for all.
That's great. That's great. And just the fact that you said you're looking forward to it, because I'm sure there's a part of you that wasn't, but now you are, because it's taking it on, being a champion for every client. That's great, Janice. Thank you. Really, really good. How about Winnipeg? Kenora, anything else?
Can you hear me? It's Nicole.
Yeah, you bet, Nicole.
I mean, we just had something really small this morning. I had something come up, but the client's registering a vehicle, and they're like, we'll just pay tax on it because, you know, we really didn't think they needed to pay tax. They didn't think they were a registered charity, but I got some of them and I did a little bit of research on my own, and I figured out that this entity was a registered charity, so we were able just to save them a few steps and not make them pay tax and not make them have to deal with it down the road when they do come to insure this vehicle. So long story short, it just, I don't know, went the extra mile, I guess, and just saved them a little bit of a headache down the road, saved them a little bit from dealing with taxation.
That's great. Really good. Doesn't matter how small, does it?
Okay, well, this is, the call's been designed. Our intention for the call today, again, as a reminder, was to revisit and deepen the distinctions that we introduced to you all the way back in November. And then also, our intention for today's call was to expand your capacity to be a high-performance team. And then thirdly, our intention for today was to hear from as many of you that wanted to share what you've seen out of discovering, taking the practices on in your life and at work. So are we fulfilling our intention for the call, or is anything missing for anybody before we complete the call?
Thumbs up. That's great.
Okay. Okay, great.
I just, you know, everything I heard today, it just occurs to me that you guys are really being used by the work, and that the work is all inside your vision. Your vision is so clearly being demonstrated by your capacity to embrace the work and the distinctions that you've taken on over the time we've been together. It's just really, really good to see. It's really fun.
Awesome. Thank you. John, you want to remind people of what the key dates are for what's next?
Yeah, we are together for our next webinar with this group on June the 20th. And then on June the 4th, we have our strategic group is getting together. Okay?
All right. So Marcia or Gary or Gord or anybody have any closing comments before we sign off with everyone?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Oh, good call. Yeah, I think there was a lot of things shared, and certainly there's a lot of. Fortunately, I missed the last one, so I apologize for that. But boy, I could sure see a lot of work being done.
Yeah,
A lot of program.
Momentum, eh, Gary?
Yep, definitely momentum. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the first I actually saw the new. Is that the new vision?
That is our new vision.
Yeah, that's the first I've seen of it, and I like it.
It's very usable and functional for sure.
Okay,
Again, referring to it, and as we, kind of go live with it in the right order, which we talked about. We have a meeting set up with Derek and Pina this afternoon. Then with all the shareholders is scheduled, and then we can start to talk about timing and how that brand and everything gets laid out. And I think when it becomes live, I just already starting to reference it. When it becomes live, it's very usable and directly referencing how we make decisions and what lens we look at things under. So I just think it's going to be a very good, usable vision statement to celebrate wins, to review things or direction or what we should take. So yeah, I really like what we landed on. I had a hard time giving up a couple words, but I really like what we landed on for sure.
Part of your growth.
Takes a big man, Gores. Well done.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I said, what my son, he said, if he doesn't get his own way, I said, he just gets upset. He wants everything exactly how he wants it. Sean looks at me and goes, wonder where he gets that from.
Being authentic about your inauthenticity, Gord. Well done.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
See you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.